In the next part of this tutorial, we're going to just align this text a bit differently, and um, I'm just going to, actually let me refresh that. So we're going to just align the text differently. Right now it's sitting all the way to the left, and and this one is great because we've already visited the home page. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to shift everything back to the center, to the right, and play with the different spacing issues here that we have. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight my div, and you see that I'm actually on my main.css. So I'm going to reuse some of the code that I have. So what I want to do, I want to add some margins to the left of this nav. So I'm going to go back and grab this margin right pixel. I mean, I could also type it, but I don't, I just want to make sure the video is not very too long. So margin, I'm going to change this to left. And I'll just start by adding 145 for pixel. And basically, as I do that, you see that everything shifts to the right. If I preview this, you see that it's to the right. I'm going to probably add a little bit more, maybe another 200. Save it and refresh this. Save the CSS and then refresh it. There we go. And as you could see, I could just, if I wanted to shift all the way to the right, I could do that. But right now we can just leave it as it is. So I do reuse copying and pasting of the actual code a lot. So I'm going to just do a little bit more. So and also initially when I moved my nav, you could see that the background is gray. That's because that's basically the background of my container div. If I come back here, go to the container, you'll see that I changed it back to this gray. But if I actually change it to some other color, you'll see that it'll actually show through. So you want to kind of be able to know what background color your project, if you want to match it, sample it, and then just change the container div or whatever is behind it to that specific color. So now I have my navigation, and everything is active and live. Make sure if probably I want to add a little more to this. Maybe we do 350. Yeah, I mean, you can just basically, I mean, I would probably still move it more to the left, just because I think it will look better. Let's just say 450. So I think the 450 probably is going to be the best one. There we go. So we're going to leave this as it is. So you could see that it's pretty easy to change or basically create live navigation and customize it using actual raw coding. Again, these are the main engines that writes our live navigation. You have the unordered list, and then you have the buttons. And as I mentioned in that previous video, the buttons for horizontal navigation should be always changed to inline. For the vertical navigation, it should be changed to block. So, and the next part of this exercise, I'll be showing you how to add basically a logo that does not have a background, which means that I could just create my background in HTML and add whatever options I want to add to that area, or whatever logo I want to have for that area. But before we end up this part of the tutorial, I'm going to just show you very quickly how to actually add another div to your structure. So for example here, I have my nav and I have my left div and I have my right div, but what if I want to have maybe a slider right below the nav and then have div right and the left div? So the process is actually pretty simple. So what I'm going to do to show you is I'm going to go back to my nav HTML and I'm going to, actually not this one, sorry, I'm going to go to the index for my two column div and make sure I'm on the source code for that. So I'm going to move below my div, the navigation div, right below the closing, right above the right nav, and I'm going to just get some dummy text. So Lauren Epson. We can delete that later, but for now that would be probably the easiest way that I can demo this for you. Copy the text in. So again, above your nav div, just go and paste the text. And just make sure to press the return so there's a bunch of, okay, there we go. Okay, so the easiest way to do that in the code panel is to simply, again, make sure the location is correct, the location that you want to add the new div, highlight your text. Again, this is temporary, you can always change it to a picture or gallery, which we will do later. Highlight it, oops, highlight it. And nothing is really showing there because we haven't added a div. And then simply go and say insert div. And from here, I'm going to say content. And the content could be image or text at this point. New CSS rule. I can just add it to my main document and just change the background to some other color so I can identify it better. And then and just, for now we can just say apply. Say OK. And now I have my div, and as you could see, during River automatically added the information for me in the area that I had selected. So I'm going to preview this. So this time I'm actually going to show you how to actually put the text inside the container within your content area that is not as wide, so you don't have to kind of worry too much about the padding since the second box would be actually shorter. So the way we're going to do this, I'm going to highlight the text, not the div, just the text that's inside the container div. I'm going to choose insert div, and I'm going to just call it text content. I'm going to make it a new rule, make sure it's going to the right place. I'm going to say OK and change this background color to like I'll choose another color so I can recognize it better. And then I'm going to say OK. And inside the text, actually the box, I'm going to choose 900 for width. And inside the text, I'll change my font face so that it's now it looks a little nicer. And if I say OK, you could see that my text now it's residing within this box, but it's much it's actually much nicer styled. So I'm going to go back to my Windows CSS Designer and click this option, and from text content I'm going to go ahead and add some margins. Let's say 20, because we had 955. I guess I can even do 25, 27 and a half, so that it's centered. So you just divide, and then I'll change the background for my content, so it's the same color. And now if I preview this, I may have to adjust it a little bit. I think I didn't do the math correctly. If I do this, you can see that my text, I guess I need a little couple of pixels. So I have my live text, which is it's stylized a lot easier in this area. I can also add some padding also to my original content div. So if I come back to my main, go back to my content, I can add, and you can adjust the colors later, but if you want to create some breathing space with the navigation, you could certainly do that. And if I come back here, now you can see that I have some breathing space with my nav, and it's looking a lot better. And if you go back, I'm going to save this. If you go back inside the code, you could see that, just go back up. I have my, so the content area. So I could come back here and add, if I want to have margins to the top and bottom, I can simply copy this and change this to bottom. If I want to make any kind of changes, where I want more of a line height, less of a line height, I can come back here, change it, and so on. I can change the text padding right here, and so on. So these are, it's pretty easy. So I'm going to actually change this to 28 too. But it's pretty easy to kind of, once you understand how these rules work, to go and modify it. But I think in the beginning it helps to kind of start with the CSS designer before you actually go back to hand code, adding the code by hand. Now we're going to add some padding to the text area, to the text content. So the way we want to do that is basically make sure you find it in main CSS, and I'm going to just type padding. Of course I can do it through my designer CSS panel, but I'm just going to use this method for now. And let's say 25 pixels. And once I do that, you see that it automatically adds the padding to the top right and left. And if I want to change the color, my content area, you see it's gray, I can also go back and change the color of the content as well, so that it's it's the same value. So again, these tools are here to help you to become better designers. So we have, so you can use either method, but it's a very good idea to really understand what, how, when you're making changes in the CSS designer panel, what it actually looks like, and in case you have to go and fix certain things. In the next part of the tutorial, I'll be showing you how to replace, basically how to replace this text with a visual slider, and also how to replace the navigation with a more dynamic CSS-driven navigation that I had shown you in class.